It's important to understand robots.txt when trying to diagnose any crawl issues and also when using it to control how crawlers see your sites. So let's ask this question. So when a site is indexed by a search engine, is there any way that we can provide instructions for what pages to crawl and what not to crawl? Let's say that we have either portions of the site that don't have a lot of value, or we have the alternative where we have pages that we absolutely want to make sure show up in the index. How can we do that? Well, we can do that with robots.txt. Robots.txt are instructions for a web crawler because when web crawlers hit a site, the first thing that they're going to go do is read the sitemaps, and they're going to read the robots.txt file. So you can kind of see here in this graphic that if we have this sitemap, as soon as the search engine hits a site, first thing it's going to do is go read the robots.txt. Let's take a look at that. So here is the Moz robots.txt file. You can see in the address bar that it is simply moz.com/robots.txt. If you go to pretty much any website, you can put in that /robots.txt and view their instructions for the crawler. It can be kind of insightful. The syntax for robots.txt is similar across pretty much every file that you're going to see. However, the degree to which people have this filled out may or may not be the same. Let's look at that syntax. So here's how you would fill out the robots.txt. There is this line that says user agent. So the user agent refers to the web crawler. So the user agent would be that crawler. In this case, we're looking at the Googlebot image crawler. Oftentimes you will see user agent and there'll be a star. And the star represents for this discussion a wildcard. So it says all user agents, all crawlers follow these instructions, or the following instructions that come after that. So here we say user agent is the first line, and then beneath that is a series of allow and disallow files. So you can see the star there. The star represents, again, a placeholder. And in this case, we'd say do not crawl. So you are not allowed to index anything that is in the /checkout folder. And so you'll see some robots.txt files are quite prolific. They'll have a lot of things called out, and some will just have nothing called out. So this is a normal syntax for robots.txt files. It'll be a user agent. It'll define that user agent, and then it'll be, here are things I either want you to stay out of or make sure that you crawl. Let's look at the Nike robots.txt. They kind of have an interesting thing. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the Nike's robots.txt file, you'll see actually a swoosh, which is kind of cool. But it's good. It's a good example because what we see here is we see quite a few instructions for different user agents. So there at the top, we see user agent star. That means all web crawlers follow these instructions that are that come right after that. We see a couple of allow files and some disallow files. Then you'll see that there are specific instructions for Googlebot, specific instructions for Googlebot image, and then specific instructions for the Baidu spider, right? So each one of the search engines or different elements of the search engines have their own instructions. And in this case, you can see, for example, the Baidu spider has disallows applied to all of its different language folders. So all it's doing is saying you're allowed to go through what appears to be the Chinese language. However, all these other languages, just ignore those, don't index them. They're going to be of very little value to you, right? And that makes sense. If you have primarily Chinese-speaking populations or searchers, then it's going to be really not worth the effort to go and index all of the site pages that are in different languages or for different audiences. So you can see here that you have a lot of flexibility with robots.txt. However, you do want to make sure that it's configured correctly. So for example, what if you inadvertently block a major portion of your site on robots.txt, or if you put in a disallow designation in robots.txt that refers to a folder structure where all of your images are held. So you can imagine that there could be some pretty simple errors that take place with robots.txt files, but also a lot of opportunity.